Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDN Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button and be the first to get notifications.
Oversight powers of the National Assembly to approve sundry expenditures of the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) clearly spelled out in Section 18, subsection 1 of the Act establishing the Commission provides that its annual budgets will have to go through proper legislative scrutiny to ensure transparency, accountability, and efficient service delivery by the intervention agency. However, the untidy processes and undue delays witnessed in the passage of the NDDC budgets over years have left the Commission incapacitated to deliver on its mandate, as correspondent Tekena Biofori reports.
In the aftermath of the Joint National Assembly investigative hearing into alleged financial recklessness by interim management of the NDDC, the Commission's acting managing director, Professor Keme Bradikumo Pondey, has dismissed the legislative probe as a deliberate attempt to witch hunt his team. In a recent press statement, Professor Pondey listed contract payments allegedly made under duress to facilitate approval of the Commission's 2019 budget by the federal lawmakers. According to the NDDC boss, this blackmail scheme explains why the 2019 budget of the NDDC was passed by the Nass committee in March 2020. As a critical examination of Professor Pondey's allegations suggests, he may not be far from the truth after all. The 2019 budget of the NDDC was submitted to the National Assembly in November 2019. It was, however, not approved till March 2020, barely weeks after the Commission was allegedly compelled to insert contracts influenced by the legislators in its budget for that financial year. Unfortunately, the NDDC was left with a window of about 5 weeks to implement its 2019 budget that was built to expire by May 2020. It was gathered that the NDDC, through a mutual agreement with the federal lawmakers, wrote an official letter to the National Assembly requesting virement of statutory allocations in its 2019 budget, apparently to avert remittances to national coffers, as it was confronted with several critical projects that were left unexecuted in the outgoing financial year. Rather than accede to the legitimate demand for budgetary virement, members of the National Assembly went to press with a letter of request for virement alleging financial recklessness by interim management of the NDDC.
They had earlier forced us to pay their own contracts that they awarded, and now they are coming to blackmail us. Those two committees have put the National Assembly in very bad light, whilst we know that majority of the people in the Senate and in the House of Reps had no knowledge of what these two committees were doing to them. All the faults lay in those two committees, which operate as one-man committees, because even members of those committees are not aware of all these efforts that are being done to rape the destiny of the Niger Delta people.
Before we came on board, the IMC, the two chairmen in the National Assembly for the House of Reps and for the Senate, they were the de facto executive of the NDDC. It is what they wanted, they directed what they wanted, and that is what will be done. They want us out of this place so that when we leave, they can award the contract. Of course, nothing will be done.
One of the fallouts of delayed passage of the Commission's 2019 budget is non-payment of fees and allowances of students studying abroad under the Foreign Scholarship Scheme of the NDDC. In February this year, when interim management of the NDDC was appointed, the Commission was already incapacitated to implement its Foreign Scholarship Scheme due to delayed passage of its 2019 budget. Faced with this challenge, current managers of the NDDC had made frantic efforts to pay all outstanding fees and allowances of the Commission's foreign scholars. However, all such efforts were resisted by political detractors with the tacit support of some members of the National Assembly.
Scholarship started. In 2016, they didn't pay. 2017, they didn't pay. 2018, 2019, we weren't here. As soon as we came, somebody just told them to go and protest. We have been on, the late EDFA and myself, we have done everything until the matter reached the CBN. The CBN said, one, there is no budget for us to pay. And in fact, in the last public hearing, you heard when they were asking the MD, where this scholarship you want to pay, where are you going to get the vote from? So we said, look, these students are suffering overseas. We would like to pay them. Even begging them, please give us the opportunity to pay these students. They said no.
This is not the first time members of the National Assembly have been accused of abusing their oversight powers over federal agencies in the country. When accused of abusing her office by the House Committee on Capital Markets, former Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Ms. Aruma Ote, in March 2012, alleged that she was being persecuted for refusing to pay the sum of 39 million naira in gratification to leadership of the committee.
And I believe that if we want to carry out an investigation, and as you said, in the interest of Nigeria and not in your own interest, I should not be subjected to what you subjected me to because the SCC did not give you 5 million naira in cash on Tuesday, the 13th of March. It should not be. It should not be, Honorable Henry. And I'm sorry because we need to start running this country differently. We need to start running this country differently.
Some years after, precisely in 2019, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, Director General of the National Agency for Food, Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, alleged that members of the House of Representatives Committee on Healthcare Services made a financial demand for their welfare during an official visit to the agency in December 2017.
I was shocked when I was told to give money. I said, money for what?
To who?
To the committee that visits us, that visited us.
While there is no concrete evidence to prove the culpability of National Assembly members in all the allegations leveled against them, it is not in doubt that such allegations are capable of eroding public trust and confidence in the people's political representatives elected to champion the cause of their constituents in Parliament. In the more recent case of the National Assembly versus interim management of the NDDC, not a few Niger Deltans have prevailed on the federal lawmakers to leave above board in the discharge of their oversight powers over the Commission's annual budgets. Currently in the Niger Delta, there are fears that bad history is about to repeat itself, as the 2020 budget of the NDDC is yet to be passed in the National Assembly few weeks into the last quarter of the year.
Please release this budget so as to pay contractors. Our brothers and friends are outside the country, schooling as well. But you can imagine leaving your child to another man's land and then he calls for you to give him money to pay his fees, and it's so touching. It's so touching. So we plead that if this 2020 budget of this NDDC will be released, contractors will be paid.
The NDDC was established through an act of parliament in the year 2000 to promote even and rapid development in the oil-rich Niger Delta region, which ironically is largely underdeveloped. 20 years after it was established as an intervention agency, there is a general consensus that the Commission has failed to deliver on its mandate, due largely to inefficiency and endemic corruption in the system.
NDDC is just an institution where they dump the loot for them to share. It's not for the general interest of Niger Delta. If it was so, Nigeria as a nation is sponsoring a lot of funds into Niger Delta that could have at least developed some part of this. But it is not. The projects they bring up are white elephant projects.
Consequently, President Muhammadu Buhari in September last year ordered a forensic audit of the Commission's operations from its inception in 2001 to 2019, with a view to repositioning it on the path of transparency, accountability and efficiency. In the current move to sanitize the NDDC, however, there are fears that the ongoing forensic audit of the Commission may not achieve desired results without the cooperation and support of the National Assembly members. With regard to budget approvals for the NDDC and any other federal agency for that matter, it is now incumbent on leadership of the National Assembly to begin to investigate how appropriations are made at the highest policy-making level of government. This is because governance in all systems is to a large extent influenced by the quality of policies put in place by the legislature, which is highly revered as the first branch of government.
Inside the Niger Delta,